Okay, so this lesson is going to be simplifying surds. So our learning goal is using factors to simplify surds. We're also going to use a lot of algebraic techniques. I just thought it would be weird for it to be part of the learning goal even though we're not doing algebra. So just be aware of that. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to simplify this surd. Okay, now we can split this one up to root 2 times root 36 because half of 72 is 36, and the reason why I do that is that 36 is a square. 6 times 6 equals 36, so therefore the square root of 36 is 6. So I can simplify this to 6 root 2. The root 2 comes straight from there, and the 6 comes from here. And it's just better that we put the number in front of the surd. That's the convention that we use anyway. All right, I'm going to simplify this second one as well. I'm going to look for factors factors of 20 where 1 is a square. Can you think of any? If you thought of 4 and 5, that would be really, really good because that's the one I thought of. So I'm going to go equals 3 times, and I'm going to go root 4 times root 5. Okay, because 4 times 5 equals 20. I know the answer to root 4. Square root of 4 is just 2. So then we just go 3 times 2 root 5, and that equals 6 root 5. So this is just simplifying surds. All right, I've got a few examples in this video, so I'm just going to keep charging. This one, it says collect like terms. So what we're going to do is that we're going to simplify, and we're going to split this up, okay? So I can split the 55 up by going root 5 times root 11 plus root 3 times root 11, okay? So I can actually take a factor of root 11 out and go root 5 plus root 3. There's not too many times in a maths exam that you'll need to do this kind of weird things, but just know that surds, they're just like algebra, that you can they're really moldable. You can do things like what I've just done there. Okay, this next one is that I can factorize out the root 2, and I'm left with 3 minus 1. And now, because they're both numbers, I can just go root 2 bracket 2, and the bracket means times, so therefore a nicer way of writing that is 2 root 2. Now if you wanted to think about it as just 3 root 2s minus another root 2 equals 2 root 2, that is perfectly fine as well. You'll just be doing questions with surds where you can just see how they work like algebra though. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Let's simplify this one, okay? So root 5 times root 4 equals root 20, okay? But like we've seen before, that root 4 is just 2, so we can also write it as 2 root 5, okay? This is the better way of writing it. Let's do this. Okay, so this is an interesting one. I'm going to put equals there. So I'm going to scribble up here. If I went 2x times 6ab, the way I teach it is do the numbers first, 2 times 6, so that's 12, and then join everything else up. So xab. We're going to be doing the same thing here. For the things that aren't surds, we're going to multiply together. So we're going to multiply the 2 and the 4, so we get 8. And then we're going to put these together. Root 2 times root 10. Okay? Now, interestingly enough, that's root 20, because 2 times 10 is 20. And I know that I can simplify that to this. So let's do that. 8 times 2 root 5. And now I can multiply this and this together. So my final answer will be 16 root 5. Notice that we're just sort of manipulating the square roots to what we want it to be. So just something to be aware of. All right, so this will be the last example. So I'm just going to expand surds, but essentially it's exactly like what we would do with algebra. So I'm actually just going to use FOIL to do the first one. Okay, so I'm going to do first. So I'm going to do, that's root 3 times root 2. I'm going to do outers. So that's negative 1 times 3, which is negative 3. Inners. Okay. I think I did the outers wrong, so I'll go back to the beginning. There, that's root 2. Root 2. They do outers. Okay, so that's going to be 3 root 3. Inners, negative root 2. And then last, which would be minus 3. Okay. Now I can manipulate this if I want to root 6, because it's root 3 times root 2, plus 3 root 3, minus root 2 minus 3. Okay, so be aware of what we can do here. And I guess we can manipulate it if we wanted to, but I think I'm just happy leaving it like that. I'm thinking that we can almost take a factor of root 3 out of both of these, but it's not going to help us too much. So just leave it like that. Let's expand this square out. So remember, when we expand the square like this, we square this. So the square of root 2 is just 2. And then we go 2 times this times that. So I'm going to go plus 2 times root 2 times 3. Okay. Plus this last term squared, which is 9. So that equals 2 plus 6 root 2 plus 9, which equals 11 plus 6 root 2. So that's how we expand one of those. Alternatively, if you wanted to FOIL it, you could. It's just not that good of a way of doing it if you wanted to do it like that. All right, good luck with the lesson. Hopefully this makes sense. If not, we'll work on it in class. All right, peace out. If I can, yep.